I will start on time, and I promise I will always end on time as well. The purpose of the conversation today is to have just that, a conversation. This is part 2 of our roundtable, and we had another roundtable back in July, and it was a lot of fun. We invited several different people from several different backgrounds. We even had a lender on that roundtable discussion, because in July, we were still in the thick of the pandemic, and we were still in the thick of adapting our businesses and figuring out what we're doing, what's not working. You know, we shared some fears, we shared some good things that were going forward as well. And we were just kind of wanting to see what other people were doing, because at the end of the day, we all serve clients in the real estate realm in the wonderful city of Louisville. And to share ideas is powerful, and to have relationships with people that we may or may not see every day in the office is wonderful for ourselves as professionals. And then it serves our clients on the other end of the table, because we just have relationships, and it's so important. So again, we warmly welcome everybody who's here. With that being said, of course, I'm Alyssa Withrow, and I'm with Keller Williams, and I'm going to be kind of leading the conversation today along with Linda Cecil, who's wonderful, a great friend, and works with us as well. And we have selected panelists who will, kind of be the first to speak. With that being said, if you are in the audience and you want to chime in or ask a question, please feel free to do so. I want the value to be yours. We're here to learn. We're here to talk. And if you're not comfortable raising your hand, or it's hard to get in edgewise because Zoom can be that way, feel free to drop it in the chat, and I will do my best to keep a good look on the chat and make sure that everybody engages how they need and questions are answered. Does that feel good? All right, so let's introduce everybody. The panelists that we have today are Lisa Warfield, Melanie Jones, Marcia Duncan, and Jay Pitts. And of course, Linda and I are doing some of the leading of the conversation, but could each of you all do a 10-second snapshot announcing your name? And what I want to know most about you specifically for today's purpose is, are you on a team or are you solo? And kind of what that looks like in terms of who you work with in your micro bubble. So Lisa, let's start with you.
You would start with me, as I was reading Amy's message, that if I had co-host capabilities. I apologize. Look, if you would just allow me to pay attention this time as you speak.
No, you're fine. I just kind of want to know, are you solo agent, team owner? And if you're a team owner, how's your team set up?
Okay, so great. I am still in the experiment of team owner. And I say experiment because it's something that I started seeking to do 2 years ago. And I've made some very interesting fails forward. So with that being said, what I have learned is models and systems are the only way you're going to be successful in this business. So aha has been had, and as Amy said before, I think I just landed the one. I feel like I'm in the Matrix and I've got Neo.
Good. I've never done anything right the first time, just to be perfectly honest. I'm gonna lay that out there, okay?
I think maybe some of us in the audience may have the same experience.
I don't know, but we'll see. If anybody's perfect, feel free to chime in. You could take over the whole conversation.
Guarantee it, Lisa. Guarantee it.
Oh, Jay, welcome, Jay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? This is Jay Pitts.
Hi. So broker owner, team leader, Remax Premier Properties. We've got about 75 agents. I've got 30 agents on my sales team, which is growing very fast. Been licensed since 04. I'm second generation in the business. Sold a lot of REOs back in the day, kind of got away from that in, by necessity, I guess, back in 2011-12 timeframe. Kind of had a hard pivot, launched my brokerage in 2015, just celebrated our 5th year. So pretty exciting. Just bought a new office building. We're going to be neighbors with you guys here real soon. So
that's what I understand. That's awesome. Yeah. We'll see you at Starbucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Or El Toro across the street, you know.
You know, probably
Well,
both.
what's the new hot chicken place too? That's going to be exciting when that opens up.
Royals.
Royals, yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing your perspective. I know you've got lots of people that you're working with, so I'll be interested to see how that kind of weaves into the conversation today as well. Let's see, Melanie. Melanie, thanks for joining us this morning. Tell us about you.
Well, I'm not as experienced as Jay, but I've been doing this for 8 years. Started out on a team, did that for 4 years. Then I took the brave step of going solo. I did that for 3 years. And this August, I added 2 buyer's agents. And now I am officially a team owner. It's awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, Marcia Duncan, introduce yourself.
I am Marcia Duncan. I am a solo agent and have been all of my career. Started out in Charlotte, North Carolina, but Kentucky is my home. I currently I use a transaction coordinator and a marketing person that helps get some of my marketing pieces out because I get creative ideas and I need to get them out of my head so I can give them to her and let her run with it. I have a mini assistant that when I'm showing properties, which is my granddaughter, she is my note taker and we discuss things in the car. So I have a mini assistant in training. I work with low to moderate income families. That's my clientele. I help people work on their credit, get them ready and prepared to buy houses. And that's where I am right now.
Awesome. And Linda, will you say hey real quick, please? I know you're not technically a panelist, but I want you to say hey.
Hey, it's an honor to be in this room with this group of people. So I think we're going to learn a lot from one another. Looking forward to this.
Awesome. So let's go. So I have asked audience members, I've asked the panelists to be vulnerable. I've asked them to be comfortable sharing. We're going to talk about the good stuff, but we're also going to talk about the stuff that wasn't so fun, maybe some failures. And I've asked for permission for that. So hopefully they'll be good enough. They'll be in a comfortable space enough to share that. And we just appreciate you guys. So we're going to talk about moving forward. We are still in this 2020-ism that we're in, and we expect that it is not going to pop up and go anywhere quickly. Yet we are still doing business and selling real estate and running teams or running solo businesses, and we're moving forward. So with that being said, let's start with a softball question. Answer in any order that you feel. What are you most excited about for your business as we turn the clocks to 2021?
You may need to do a little muting there.
Yeah. Panelists, unmute your microphone, please, to speak.
All right, I'll take it.
Awesome.
I am, look, I am most excited for me to actually perfect something that I have not done. I try to take on one new thing that makes me better every year. And what I did this year was to focus in and laser in on that time we had in COVID to really drill down what is needed in my business, what I'm spending money on, the cost and all of those things to get lean and to get prepared for any changes that are coming into the market. And I'm really super excited to implement some of the changes with some of the shifts, like moving fully with command, building a referral network, and just really pounding it out to get some transactions completed. My goal is 100 houses for 2021.
It's a fantastic goal. Very good. Thanks. Who else? What are you excited about as we look forward? We're planning.
One of the things that I'm excited about this year is I'm embracing more of doing videos and blogging and doing more Zoom educational things. I'm working with Metro United Way in Shelby County, and we're trying to, we are launching programs to educate the minorities, specifically Hispanic and African American communities, and make them get them educated as far as the home buying process. So I'm really excited working with Metro United Way and the NAACP and the Chamber and the Extension here in Shelby County to do that. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Marcia, what's your elevator speech for your plan for that education?
You know, if there's something that well, I guess for me, anything that I've always wanted to do, I've always done it. So when someone says, you know, I'd like to have a house or something like that, you know, I'll just say, hey, give me 6 months and I will help you get there. You know, if you listen to me, you know, because I'm big on having an emergency fund before you start. I'm big on having certain amount of money prepared before you start. And I don't care what price range you're in. There are certain things that I want them to have. And I don't really have an elevator speech because I don't do quick, short speeches.
Well, that's fine. I was just curious to learn more about your thoughts for that piece specifically, especially coming out of everything that we're experiencing in 2020.
Well, interestingly enough, my business really did not slow down like, well, it did because I did, but because I'm just focusing on different things and irons in the pot.
Okay. I'm losing you just a little bit. Is it just Marcia, everybody, or is it me?
Yeah, it's just Marcia.
All right. Well, let's go on. Jay, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
You know, kind of to take off a little bit on what Marcia said, I think the time I have 3 very young children, and spent a lot more time at home this year than in years past. You know, it probably started refocusing on things that were most important to me a few years ago. You know, I have a propensity, like many of us, to kind of get too into work, not be as present as you should be at home, those kinds of things. But really, this year was a pretty remarkable shift for me on just focusing on things that are most important, both at home and in the business. And what I've found is the things that I enjoy the most, or the things that are the most impactful, are the things that actually make me the most money, to be quite honest. So I'm just looking forward to doing more of that this coming year, right? And you know, I know some people may not believe in the law of attraction, but I do in some way. I think you attract by who you are and what you are, the things that you want. And what I found is that our team has grown, our production has grown, our buyers and sellers are more in line with the type of folks that we want to represent and help. And I've had much more impact this year than most years, probably more than any year in my career, to be honest.
That is a wonderful thing to hear, because I definitely believe in the fact what you focus on expands. And we were forced into focusing on things, whether or not we necessarily wanted to, perhaps this past year. Yet I think so many of us, because, you know, we had to reevaluate. It was a forced reevaluation. How often does that luxury, if you will, come around? And absolutely, if you're focusing on it, it's going to come to you. And how nice in real estate if it's, oh, the clients you want to serve, the people that will deliver the respect and have a mutual respect, that those are the people we run through fire for all day long, whether they're clients or teammates or leadership in office. That's a sweet spot there. That's awesome.
Alyssa, I would like to say that I really have learned this year to not have limiting beliefs, because when all of COVID hit, I had a choice to, okay, let's just go down and, hunker down. But I said, no, I'm just going to keep on cranking it out and keep doing the same things I'm doing. spread a little bit more sunshine is what I tried to do. And really what my business has increased by 35% this year over last year. And I think that's because I was able to, okay, just move forward, and it was a challenge, obviously, for all of us, but I've enjoyed it to see the growth in my business. So what I'm looking forward to most for 2021 is meeting with my clients for lunch and all my coffees, because I love building those deep relationships, because that, to go back to what Jay said, that's where you're the most impactful. And that's what I love the most about my career and my business.
And that's where you want to be. If you want to wake up and have coffee with somebody, you're excited to get up and do it. And then the business comes secondarily when you're already doing it in a way that you love. I think that's so empowering. I love that. Thank you. And your business is up 35%, but wait, we don't have any inventory, Melanie.
I know. I was looking at my numbers this morning, and it's a little tiny bit over 35%, but so many people I've just reached out to. And then I think over the past 7 years, I've built those relationships with people, and now they're moving to Florida, they're moving here. And I've been very blessed with I have about almost 70% in listings versus buy side. So adding 2 new agents will spend more time at home, like Jay said, being with my family, and letting the buyer's agents do more of the running. So
wonderful, wonderful. Well, let's get specific. I know that we all, have excitement because of things that happen and we're looking forward. I want you all to think of one specific thing, one specific change that you had to make. What was the domino that you had to push over in your business in 2020, whether or not you had plans to do so at the beginning of the year? What was that? What's one change that you made? Who wants to volunteer?
Well, for me, it was adding the 2 buyer's agents. That's what I did. And I think that's impactful for my business.
Were you planning to do that anyway? Would that have happened no matter what?
Probably not as quickly. It just kind of, and I added 2 at one time. Don't ever do that. That's what I learned in 2020. Do not add 2 agents on the same day. But they're awesome and they're smart. But I wanted to add 1, not 2. So my plan next year is to add another 2 more, but not at the same time. So
I hear you. What else? What other changes were made specifically?
One change for me was how I talk to people. It was more intentional, and it was not about real estate, believe it or not. I had more conversations about people's lives and how things were affecting them, to go into relationship with these people. And that's it kind of guided me through the rest of this year, which is awesome.
You know what I love about that is one of the biggest challenges that I have personally in this business is, we get to see our clients for such a finite amount of time, especially if we, for whatever reason, may or may not be in a strong relationship with them at the time of starting. And the fact is, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I've got 2 teammates on this call, and I believe that they know this, but I really truly care very deeply about what they're going through. And it's so hard to communicate the fact that you very much care about their well-being, their best interests. We have it all in the contract. We're all bound to that contractually, yet sometimes on the hardest days, it's hard to convey that you really care, that when that tough repair request comes up over, you're heartbroken, or their financing falls through and you don't sleep well that night, when they get the house, you're so excited. That's hard to convey. It's hard to convey your emotions to your clients. Sometimes it's so fast, it's so emotional. Yet in 2020, because for once we all were going through something that was very hard and very similar at the same time, it leveled a playing field for us to all be human And there was such a blessing in that. And that it opened up, I think, an opportunity for us to kind of rehumanize ourselves a little bit as realtors, to what Lisa said. And we could have conversations that were genuine and received genuinely as well. And that was fantastic. And I love that we were able to experience a change like that in our businesses. What else? What other big change had to be made?
One of the biggest changes that I made is I love to read, but I have not been able to read, or because I haven't been able to sit still long enough. So one of the things I've included is reading a lot of audiobooks. Just some of them just for pleasure. But one of the books that I am reading for the second time, which is rare for me because I don't ever read the same book twice, is The 12-Week Year. And that book really spoke to me. And it kept me from squirreling through the rest of the year, because my year is only going to be 12 weeks. So my first official day was November 1, and so far so good. It is keeping me on track. Another thing that I'm doing that I implemented more this year and did more of it this year than any year is concentrating on 2 letters of the alphabet a time, for a week, because being a very, very, very high I tend to squirrel. So for me, being able to just concentrate on 2 letters of the alphabet for my database was wonderful. I cleaned out my database. I had 2,500 people in my database. I'm now down to 1,600. I've been able to make care calls. I've been doing that, and that's been fantastic. And I'm learning all kinds of things about my clients and being able to connect them with not real estate related sources. So I'm more of a resource for them, because when they, they'll tell me, well, I just lost my job. And I say, oh, well, I just talked to somebody and they're looking for somebody. So I'm connecting people. So I'm feeling more of a connector when I'm making those care calls.
Let me back you up for just a minute. I bet there's a few people on the call who don't know what 2 letters of the alphabet means. Define that real quick for me.
Oh, well, crap. Well, I never paid attention to it, but it was the D2D is D2 something. I got it.
Perfect. Explain that. Why focus on 2 letters of
It's
the
yes, I got my notebook. It's never ending referrals. And what you do is you take 2 letters of the alphabet every week, and that's all you concentrate on. Like this week, and I've already done this week, yay, it's the S and U's. So everybody in my database that has the last name starts with an S or a U, they either got an email, a text message, a phone call, or something. I go, even if it's a vendor, it don't care who it is. They got something this week specifically from me on top of whatever else I may be doing.
Awesome. I think that's powerful.
I think what we're hearing here, Lissa, that at the end of the day, it's a people business. We happen to be selling houses, but it's the relationships. And I think in the Millionaire Real Estate book, Gary says it's about the leads, and the leads are the people. And so focusing on the leads and being in touch in your database is critical, regardless of the environment, regardless of the economy.
Absolutely. What other changes?
Yeah, you've got to love on your people.
Absolutely.
That comes natural to you, Miss Marcia.
No.
Yeah, but it's going to cause me to have a heart attack.
Well, every breakthrough could be just a little bit painful.
Well, I'm trying not to get so emotional with my clients. I don't let them see me get as emotional as I get. But I mean, after 20 some odd years, I am still cannot sleep the night before closing. because I'm so excited. They're so excited. And by the time we're at the closing table, you know, I'm taking pictures and, you know, planning their party. And I don't know, I love my life. I love being a real estate agent.
Your folks are lucky to have you.
Well, they're spoiled rotten. Oh, and they're spoiling me now because I'm now getting payday candy bars. I'm loving it.
Good for you. Well, what else? Does anyone else want to mention a change, some big change that they had to go through or make?
I can comment on that. Mine's a little different. So I won't say this is a big change that started a few years ago, and it's been incremental. So starting in 2019, I was coming off some family health, not personal health issues, but pretty substantial family health issues. My parents were really sick. And kind of goes to what I mentioned earlier, you know, most of 2019 was spent with that. And that was kind of a precursor to some realizations in 2020. But for 2019, I made a goal to sell no more than a certain number of homes. And it was a pretty ambitiously low number for my prior performance. And it just represented the desire to kind of pass skills, leverage, you know, kind of move to a more of a, you know, executive type role in my business. And really kind of it speaks to the things that I'm most passionate about. Most passionate about generally helping people. I'm not incredibly passionate the way that Marcia speaks about being a real estate agent. For me, it doesn't matter whether I'm helping a new agent build a business or a client buy or sell a home. It's the interaction with the people that really works for me. And what I found is for me to have the home life that I want at this stage of my life, it's easier for me to help real estate agents than it is to help buyers and sellers, right? It's easier for me to multiply the amount of impact that I have by going that direction. So this year I made that ceiling even more ambitious, and I'm gonna hit it. So I mean, it's like right now I looked at our production sheet this morning. It's not correct, but I saw a 0 next to pending transactions by my name, 0. It's the first time I've ever seen that, like literally in you know, however many years. It's the first time I've ever seen it. I do have one pending transaction personally that is not reflected on there. And so I had to talk to the staff about that this morning when they came in, but that 0 grabbed me. And so anyway, that was, I don't know if the goal will ever go to 0. I don't want to be out of touch. So, but yeah, it's a pretty stark contrast from a few years back when I worked 90 hours a week, you know? So.
I think that's the beauty of real estate, that real estate is an industry that has so many opportunities, and it allows you to be who you want to be and the way you want to be it. And there are some people, the Marcias, who love being shoulder to shoulder with their clients. Likewise, other people have gifts and talents, and if you've never noticed it, it's all over Louisville. There are people who are emerging as team leaders, team owners, and they're able to still use real estate as a vessel to grow through others. So now the Jays are growing their business in the way that they want to, while lifting others up. Because I guarantee, Jay, that you've enriched other people's lives on your team. That's the crux of it all, you know? And it's such a wonderful, I'm so thankful that real estate lets us do that. We no longer have to be transactional agents.
It's absolutely true. I mean, that's my entire focus every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, whether it's, I mean, it could be something as, you know, finite as, you know, researching a new marketing tactic or something like that, and then passing that along, or, you know, talking to a new agent about how to get a price reduction on their first listing, because I mean, that's not very common. Price reductions aren't incredibly common these days. but you understand how to hold a commission, in a competitive listing environment, right? How to not discount your way to listing inventory, stuff like that. Having powerful conversations, understanding leverage, understanding negotiating, any of those things. Like, but that's what I have fun at. That's the things that I enjoy the most. So it's easy.
It's easy when you have the passion, and you obviously have the passion. And we have a tendency, I think, if you don't mind me interrupting here, but we have a tendency sometimes to make success appear and become complicated. And it really isn't that complicated. It's about focus and systems, leverage. But we have a tendency to try to put our little niche on it and invent our own thing and make it complicated. And it really boils down to people and leads and systems and focus.
Yeah. I'd say typically some variation of it's not simple, but it's simple, but it's not easy.
Correct.
That kind of thing. It's the concepts are simple, but they're not easy to execute with consistency. So
Exactly.
I agree.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Well, on the other side of the coin, I'm willing to bet that there's probably some people who have not been in the business for years on, several years. Maybe they don't own a team or a company. Let's comment on people who are entering the business in 2021 and they're making their plans for 2021. Panelists, what do you have as advice for newer agents in the business right now? What if that agent comes knocking on your office door and needs the voice of a mentor because they're having a tough day and they say, I have a buyer and I can't find a house for them. I can't win a contract. What do I do?
I'll chime in. I'm going to say two things. One, build your database. That's the value of your business. And number two, three, I'm going to make it three. Three, get comfortable with getting uncomfortable. Things such as lead generation, script practice, that kind of thing. Get comfortable with that. And three, always stay curious. Be curious about learning new things and staying in a state of curiosity and learning.
She stole my three things, but I'm just saying she's spot on. And learn. You just have to go after the knowledge and be consistent. So that's my input.
I think new agents get caught up in trying to make their time too productive. I have agents that will sell 25 or 30 homes in their first year, but that's certainly not the norm. That you'll run into those here and there. I think your first year, it's incredibly important that you do as much business as you can, because I think we have a finite amount of time, and the way business turns over every 5 to 7 years, your growth can be exponential in, years 5, 6, 7, and 8 if you start quickly. But Linda's point about getting comfortable being uncomfortable, specifically in communication, I think is incredibly important. Being able to have the difficult conversations, being able to remain cool, calm, and collected when there is conflict is incredibly important. That will pay dividends in the long run. And probably if you go back to your question about what do I do when I have a buyer that can't find anything to buy, well, you're not bigger than the market. You can't overcome the market. Expectation setting is huge. And then if you're not getting the results you want from working on the buy side of the business, well, focus your energy and attention on finding listings. It sounds easy, but I firmly believe that you could use the buyer to reverse prospect the listing. And that's probably a better use of your time rather than just, pounding your hands on your desk, cursing the fact that there's nothing to sell to people that want to buy.
Yes, I agree fully on that. Exactly. What else? Any other nuggets for people who are just entering the market and this is all they know about this market, where we are today? I can't not, I don't double negative. We can never, ever, I'm going to preach for 2 seconds. I know I'm not a panelist. However, when someone was talking about being learning based, I firmly believe that the more you know, the more money you're going to make. I also know the more you know, the better your thinking is going to be and the better your mindset's going to be. And that's easy to tell a new agent because a new agent may have a little more time on their hands. And it's challenging often with agents who are sprinting right now and very busy. And we say, I don't have time to learn. I don't have time. And I've been that person. Those words have come out of my mouth before. I don't have time to do that. And that is a personal challenge for myself. And I would love to impose that on everybody, no matter what season or speed of your business right now. Always have your nose in a book. If it's audiobook in your car, if it's just get through 10 pages before you fall asleep or wake up 10 minutes earlier, read that from Miracle Morning, also a great book. You will always have value from what you're learning, from what you're reading or listening to, because your brain can only hold technically one thought at one time, right? I'm not a scientist, but I believe that to be true. And if you're feeding your brain with things that are educational, that are good, that are inspiring, that are mind stretching, you're going to be the person that navigates whatever market here is in front of you. You're going to have a better mindset. And I'm such a firm believer of making time to be learning based, no matter the market, no matter the pandemic, no matter the global unrest, no matter what it is, just stay in curiosity, Linda, stay in learning. That's such a powerful thing. I know that's been a huge reflection of mine since 2020, because I could have huffed and puffed and rolled over and complained and watched some garbage TV, but instead I filled those couple of minutes with something that was empowering and educational and inspiring. And it was amazing.
I love your preaching. You always preach so good. I did put it in. I did put it in the chat line and ask people to share what books they're reading. So put it, if you will, for those that are on the call, just start throwing it in there, what you're reading right now that you think would be helpful to others.
On the opposite end of what Alyssa said, yeah, I tend to gravitate towards learning videos, and I think I get to the point where I watch too much because I get to squirrel again and start going another direction. But one of the things that I caught from Mo yesterday was to really just to slow down and focus and be, to use Lisa Warfield's words, to be intentional. And sort of, for me, it's too much. It's too many distractions, you know, looking at this video and that video and learning this thing and that thing. When I have tools that are in my toolbox that are very effective, I just have to dig deeper into them and use them more efficiently.
Good point. All right, here's a hardball question. Please have courage if you all don't mind. I know that I could look back, and this relates to the changes that we've made, but more specifically, there are things in my business that I will never do or never pay for or never spend time on again. Ripped it out of the book, and I'm not going to return to it. I learned from it. It may have been tough. It may have been something I didn't predict. What do you guys have that you're just not going to be going back to for whatever reason?
I'm not going back to trying to get involved in the credit repair business. I started that because I'm always counseling on that anyway. So I started it as a business, and I had some up and down success, but the bottom line was people still are not going to do what they don't want to do, even if they have to pay for it. So to me, that was, total waste of my time. I'm going to refer that out, let someone else do it, and let go of people quicker when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. And when I say let go, I don't mean I'm letting go because I tell them you either buy or you die. But I'm letting go of the expectation that they're going to do what they're supposed to do. I'm just going to let them. And what's funny about that is when I've let them go, then people are starting to come back and they're saying, okay, I'm ready. And I'll say, okay, well, have you done this? And they'll say no. And then I get them back in a few more weeks and they're back on track. So, you know, I think I just had to let go of them. And because I'm too clingy, I want to hold on to them, but I got to let people do their thing.
You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them
Can't
drink.
make them drink.
Yeah.
That's interesting, Marcia, because that's one of the things that I am absolutely unafraid of now. And I know the term firing a client is not friendly, but knowing who you can help and how you can help them and matching that relationship, you cannot help everybody. And if it's too hard, it is worth letting them go. And if they come back, hey, that was your client. If they go on to somebody else, that's too. But being intentional in my business meant that I let go of the other 2 businesses that I created in real estate. That's actually how I know Jay, and Jay may have seen my name on a bunch of his REOs. Probably for about 4 or 5 years, I was the agent that did the BPOs on all of those bank owned. But that was for me to learn the city of Louisville and to figure out what the niches were in this market. So it was really hard to let a business that was producing a nice revenue for me, I didn't have to sell anything. But I did get a chance to learn a lot about the Louisville market, and that has set me apart when I step out and have a conversation with others. And that whole foreclosure question, man, I can answer that in my sleep. Yeah, okay, you want to buy that? All right, let me tell you how much this costs. Okay, you got it? You don't? All right, let's go get the other house that's moving ready. It's great.
What else are you not looking back on? You're trudging forward with full speed and happy to do so.
Alyssa, I know I'm not part of the panel, but I'm going to jump in here.
Please do, Becky, please.
I had multiple CRMs and it was just too much to handle, too confusing. We have gone into command. We have every single person in our database in one place, which is so refreshing. I will never go back to the chaos of having multiple CRMs.
Mm-hmm. Did anybody change, speaking of CRM, did anybody make adjustments or change on what they paid for or invested in for online leads? That's a tough question, I know.
I will never pay for them like I did before, ever.
What's that?
I will never pay Realtor.com and Zillow ever again in my life. Ever.
Why is that?
One, once you actually get intentional about your business, and I was actually on a call, I won a call with the Market Center Tech Trainers with Jason Voorhees, and he literally, I got the benefit of having a free coaching with him. It was awesome. Nice. And he literally sat down and broke down, hey, how many people do you have in your database? Hey, how many appointments do you need to make? You have it in front of you. And again, we are all guilty of this. I'll be vulnerable and say, you know, that you do have enough business in front of you. Everybody keeps going, I need more leads, I need more leads. I'm sorry, where are the people that you worked with? I'm sorry, the leads that you had, did you convert them? Where are your numbers coming from? How many appointments are you going on? How many appointments do you need? You just have to get critical with yourself with the numbers that you're putting up for yourself. You know, so I'll never do that. And the Facebook groups that are about the Facebook leads in command, mm-hmm. I promise you, if you are, you know, in the system with command, and I apologize if you're not, and again, soapbox, I have 30-minute one-on-ones if you want to learn about what I'm saying. You can literally, I'm averaging about $79 a lead.
Hmm.
I can run a campaign for 10 or 20 bucks. I am not spending hundreds, even thousands. I don't even think I've spent, there's 149 leads and I believe I've spent $286.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's a no-brainer. And all it requires is follow-up, just like every other piece of our business.
We gotta work it. We gotta be willing to work. Nothing comes easy. I mean, there are ways you can smooth the path, but nothing comes automatically in terms of conversion.
Simple, not easy.
I would like to jump on that if I may. I do not have a big database. I have maybe 265 people. It is about relationships. It is about referrals from those 265 people that have allowed me to be so successful. I don't buy leads. I do use Facebook ads in command, which is awesome, but I just work my sphere. So to the new people, to go back to what you asked earlier, if they will work their sphere, and they don't even have to mention real estate, they just have to build the relationships, because people always ask you, well, what do you do? Oh, I've got somebody. That's just, to me, the most efficient way. Use your database, be purposeful, and reach out to people, but you got to stay top of mind. And that has always been my number one goal with my sphere, to stay top of mind. If they're not thinking about me on a regular basis, then I'm not doing my job. So that's my big spiel for the day.
Melanie, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat for a second.
Okay.
Most people, if you said you had 265 people in your database, I think there's a lot of realtors would say, that's really, really small.
It is.
Business that I need to do. Or do you mind sharing what amount of business you're going to close this year and what your goal is for next year?
Well, to date, under contract, I have $13,453,680. Well, for $13,500. So $500,000. That's what I have this year. That's 35% more than I had last year. And my goal for next year is 20 million.
I wish you knew your numbers. I wish you tracked a little better, Melanie.
I'm sorry. I'm a little obsessed with knowing where my pennies are.
They say profit is in the dime. So there you go, girl.
There you go. There you go.
I wanted to hear that in some way, because for, again, these new agents that are on the call, because I would bet there's a few, you don't have to have something massive. Everybody has to start with a database. And if you were like me, I started with a very modest budget in my real estate career, but you're not behind the 8 ball because of that. You've got work to do, but we see people on this call who've done it and who have proven it. And again, it's a relationship business. I want to say that to encourage people, especially when we're in a time as we move into 2021, where, other years I'd say, okay, well, I need to meet more people and add to my database. So I'm going to join this group, or I'm going to be at this. Being around people is tough right now, guys. It's just harder to do. And I just want you to be encouraged, just because your database might not be 10,000 people strong. And if it is, great. But if it's not, you can still do great things. I want you to be encouraged. And I think that's awesome.
I'm not on the panel, but I kind of want to share and piggyback off what Melanie said. When I first started real estate, I was fresh out of college. My friends were broke, still renting, still in school, didn't know anybody. And it took me a while, but I did it. And so I want to affirm what you said, that if you don't know anybody, you can still do it. And I think the only time I paid for leads was when I first started, and there was a homes.com thing, and I paid for 1 month and I didn't get anything out of it. And I just kind of grew my business organically, and I just met people and just built my database and developed those friendships along the way. So can be done.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I tell you what, we've got 9 minutes left, and I want to go out on a positive note. I think this conversation has been awesome. I could do this all day long, but we do have to get to work. I know we have things to do for the rest of the day. But I want to ask every one of you on the panel, I know nobody is successful alone. There's no one who does this by themselves. tell me about your mentor or your coach. Who are you looking at and listening to right now?
For me, it's Tom Ferry.
Yeah.
I've been listening to a lot of Tom Ferry here lately. Him and his father. So.
Has that been on, obviously online? Is it webinar, or how are you keying into Tom Ferry right now?
It's webinars, YouTube, some of the tools that he has, and Ninja Selling.
Awesome.
They're yeah, I've been doing that because the paperwork for me is a little bit simpler for me to understand and to track, because unfortunately, I don't do well tracking my numbers, but this has been enabled me to see what I'm doing and see what the possibilities are, so I can see it in real time. But it's really the bottom line that everyone else is looking at, but I'm looking at the people's names that are down the list and the potential of how much that could be, that sale that could be. And that gives me a goal of saying, oh, okay, if I get these 5 people from warm to hot, okay, that's another $20,000 right there. So I know I've got to work on these 5 people, getting them where they need to be. And it just works for me. It's simple.
Awesome. Who else?
I'll second Tom Ferry. He's I've been coaching with them since 2012. So Tom's like, if anybody's ever heard of Sales Edge, like his Sales Edge program that he puts on, Bill Pipes that runs that program is my coach. And beyond that, I will say, I have mentors that I reflect on that are not as heavy into the business anymore, but were at one point. I still talk to them and confer with them quite a bit. But honestly, I probably learn the most from my people, the people that work with me, under me, around me, beside me, those kind of people. They tell you what they need. And when everybody's pulling in the same direction, I think the clarity of leadership gets really pretty, it gets where you need it to be. So I don't know. I have a coach, but he pretty much just helps me get out of my own way. He doesn't tell me things I don't know. Helps me make the decisions that I need to make already, that I kind of know I need to make. I don't know. People that have come before me reflect from the outside looking at my business. So that's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Well, I challenge everybody as we hop off here to find a mentor if you don't have one, because they're out there. Sometimes you can hire a coach, which is great. If that's not your choice, just go surround yourself with someone else who's doing it in your office or your brokerage or wherever it is that you are. Good leaders love to talk to people and they love to help other people. Every one of you on the panel is a leader, and that's you're handpicked. I knew that you would all come from a different background and kind of have a different lens on it. And I'm so appreciative that you all kind of took an hour out of your days. I know that an hour is precious time right now. And I'm so grateful for every one of you. And I hope all the audience learned and you all had some ahas, and you are able to kind of walk away with something that you can implement into your business planning for 2021, because I have a lot of hope for 2021. Louisville is a great town, and it's a blessing to be able to sell real estate around here and work with the people of Louisville. So any questions or comments before we get back to our day? No? Panelists, thank you. Linda, thanks. Everybody, thanks for joining. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.